I've always said that people who live like that are average people. Don't ever live an average life. Try to be sure. Try to be certain. And it's good for marriage. So, the other day I spoke about sacrifice. I spoke about giving. But I went back to study again. Before giving can even be effective, respect must be put to place. I cannot give if I don't respect. So respect must be put to place before giving becomes effective. So let's pay attention to how we respect the people we want to marry. Because that's where love grows from. Sacrifice, love comes from respect. And it goes through informations, not through a dictionary meaning. Information about the life of the person, how the person lives, and those informations is what builds that respect towards the person's life. And then you not make a decision on how to stay there.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yes.
Now, paradigms change in 7 ways, and one of the ways that paradigms actually change is when a new information or discovery takes place. Now, for us, there is a new information and a new discovery, actually by God's servant Dr. Maxwell in Egbe, because you have heard about the artificial intelligence, but you haven't heard about the human artificial intelligence. Now, God's servant is going to give a very brief one on this so that we could actually learn from his line of thoughts and his assertive words on how we could change our lives simply by enhancing and shifting to the human artificial intelligence. Now, you don't want to miss this one. Listen very closely and attentively.
Whatever is produced is from man. So if you notice, this age is now transporting ideas to products. The man's idea is transported to product. I was thinking that if man takes those ideas and develop himself, man's IQ will improve, the man's production will improve, and the man's results will improve. So if we, and that's why I said using the word, the human AI is language outdated. So, but if you use the word, the human IQ is language improved. So whatever word we want to use, let's be conscious that we are the ones producing these things. Yeah. It's not angels. Everything you see happening today as an improvement of human situation is manly improved by man. So if we are making such improvement, then we should check within ourselves how competent we're improving ourselves. Yes. And this is necessary for every factors of life. Even how have we improved marriage? Has our IQ grow to a level where we can understand how to live in marriage? We can understand how to do our jobs better. Now, all these machines we produce, they are making labor easy and making the brain weak. Because the moment you have machines working for you, you have limited time to think. Brain reduction is being transported to machines. A lot of things, time labor is moved to machines. So the time we normally used to spend to reflect, to think, to work, they are now transported to machines. So if it take you 2 hours, you take the machine 5 minutes, which to me is a good thing. But at the same time, we should understand that we need to allow ourselves to get the feeding of what we are producing to the earth. Because the more man produces and reduces his capacity for production, he gets lazy, he gets redundant, and the machines begin to do his job. And as machines starts doing our job, we'll begin to lose jobs. If you work in a restaurant and machines can now serve food, you are no more useful. So the more we are producing these things, the more man. Now you don't need to go to school to study English. The AI now, you don't need English language for anything now. The AI is producing those words. So going to even study English language now in school is useless. In one way now. So let's be careful and start making strong upgrade of ourselves. Check your IQ level. Are you progressing intellectually? And progress intellectually. Grow to that artificial intelligence level that we are seeing today. Match up with the machines that we all have here. Match up. Don't be behind. Don't be outdated. Match up to anything you do. Update yourself to fit into today's labor. And that will help every one of us. But if we sit down and now say the phone can do everything, the machines can do everything, at one time, those machines can be our nightmare when it stops functioning. Because you have depended so much on those machines. So I believe that we will look inward and start improving ourselves too. Ideas are meant to produce, but the man who produces the idea should benefit from it by also growing himself. Yeah.
To get more of this, you just have to keep following Dr. Maxwell Golden Egbe on all social media platforms. Now, one thing is sure, that if you are around God's servant, one of the things that is promoted is the excellency of knowledge, and understanding, also the interpretation of dreams and goals, and also the answering and conquering of hard situations and dissolving doubts. Now, to know more about what I just said, then you have to hook up to YouTube, God's Servant's page at Maxwell Golden Egbe tonight at 8 p.m. God's Servant is carrying out a new series. He will be live on YouTube for a special program tagged Professionals, the Professionals, with scriptural reference to Daniel 5 and verse 12. Here is going to be dissolving a lot of doubts. And if you are a professional in whatever sector of life, you have to hook up. He's a man of wisdom, you already know. But if you really, really want to dissolve the doubts you have in the career or the path with which you trade as a profession, then hook up with God's Servant tonight on YouTube at 8 to 9 p.m. Don't forget, the streaming platform is YouTube at Maxwell Golden Egbe. And let's have the premiere edition as you join us on that platform. It's also going to be live on Honor TV for all our family and friends around Nigeria who are connected to the Honor World International. Remember, you could hook up also on the Honor TV. Now, don't forget, it's 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. It's the very first edition and season, and you do not want to miss it. God's Servant is going to be at his best, always, and also sharing knowledge with us. Now, Abigail is one of the case study in scriptures that we must pay attention to for the way she conducted herself, how wisely she was able to attend to issues, solving problems within and around her family. Would like to know more about that as it relates to our life, our businesses, and even to our gender, whether male or female. So it is with this that I invite you especially for our Sunday service. It's the wine conference for the May edition, Sunday the 18th of May 2025. It's tagged the Abigail's Dream for Youths and Singles. So if you want to know how to live your life excellently, thicken principles and character attributes of Abigail, then you just want to be part of that service. As God's Servant, we'll be dissecting her principles and how she was able to govern her life and become successful in her marriage and in her affairs. Don't forget, it's 7:30 a.m. this Sunday, streaming on all social media platforms and also live at Rehoboth City Honor World International. 7:30 is the time. Please invite your friends and family. And if you have not attended any of our services and you're in the city of Asaba, this is a great opportunity to be part of it, because not only will it benefit you and give you heavenly encounters, it's also going to give you the privilege of seeing God's Servant one-on-one. And don't forget, questions can be asked in that service, especially as regards our youths and our singles. It's time for us to live a good life, and starting this Sunday is a remarkable time to make adjustments. God bless you.
Funaya, go and get this. You have it there. Bring it.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode of Gospel Manager. We are so excited because we have come to another new week in the month of May. Now, for us in the Honor Ward, and as usual, who are now part of our Gospel Manager family, it's our week of quality divine proclamation. This means that every of your proclamation this week should be divine, and every word of promise that is divine in scriptures that is available to every believer, all will be manifested in your life. Now, this is a good time to tell your friends and your family that Gospel Manager is now live. Share the links to your friends, to your colleagues in the office, or to your drive mate whilst you're driving to the office or going for school runs. Let them know that Gospel Manager is live, and God's servant, our guiding light in this season and in this perilous time, is also live on Gospel Manager. No, remember, you could send in your questions via email at thegospelmanager@gmail.com or via text, WhatsApp only, on Telegram, and also on WhatsApp at +2349047533019. My team and I will be taking in your questions, and you could get the details on the screen. Now remember, it is time for you to send in your questions and listen attentively, because you could also be of great benefit to the next person who is watching. Your questions can also be a thought for them, a lesson for them, and wisdom for them to run, as well as yours. I'm not alone. God's servant is in the studio with me. I'm going to call him now to give us the opening remarks and set the course for this morning's episode. Good morning, Dad, and welcome.
Morning. How was the night?
Fine, thank you, sir.
I came up with a formula this morning, and it is go away from attention and build attraction. You should try to go away from attention and build attraction. And if you want to build attraction, it takes time to build attraction. And one of the things we are trying to do today is to seek for people's approval. And we do that a lot. Why are they rejecting my calls? Why are they not responding back my text messages? Why are they not coming? Why are they not asking after me? Those are the things we keep doing. We try to do to get people's attention. We hear testimonies of people's color, people's traveling profile, people's educational profile, people's skill profile. So we seek for their approvals. And the Lord is saying to me clearly, build your own attraction. When it is strong enough, you gain your own attention. So that's how I want to start here. Let us build our own attraction. When we are solid enough, we will gain access to attention. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. All right, so we'll begin today's episode from the light of yesterday's message. Power-packed message. It was in service yesterday, very remarkable. And God's servant taught us expressly about the Abigail's principles for youth and singles. And this is a reminder, if you streamed live in that service, or if you were live in service, you could also send in your questions now or the comment section about whatever it is that you want God's servant to pour more light into. But whilst you are at that, I'm going to give the floor to God's servant to also give a recap and whatever it is so in his heartbeat for us this morning concerning the message of yesterday.
I am trying to totally get out from the normal day-to-day reasoning of men, because I've discovered that we're not really making progress with our minds. And so anytime I read the Bible, it's becoming like a workbook for me. It's like this morning I was studying the Bible and I was trying to review the church. And the Holy Spirit said to me, you have to go back to your teachings on youth, single, parenting, and marriages in your 3 services. He said that formation is what I gave you to enrich the people. And I understand that clearly. And then I said to me, teach on the principles of Joseph and David. And talked about teach on that's for youth, and so then teach on the principle of Esther and Abigail. So the workshop mentality that I'm beginning to have with the Bible is a framework. So for yesterday's teaching, I'm trying to make people understand that wealth is not a coincidence. Abigail is a wealthy woman, but understood the role she has to play. People think playing a role is to own a different business. And that's the problem with people. Playing a role, they think they have to leave a system and go to some other place. Abigail played a role in a place where the leader was a difficult person to handle. So as a youth, fight to play a role in a system where you belong. Be effective and very effectual. And then to identify the Davids around the business that will protect and project. Because David came to do two things: to protect and to project. So in your youthful age, become somebody who looks for people who protect and projects. And if you want to marry an Abigail who understands there is a prophecy ahead and how to navigate to fulfill that prophecy. That's the cap of all I did yesterday. And then dealing with the mind. Let's try to build ourselves through capacity placement and stop these primary locations of attitudinal manifestations of poor reasoning, poor speeches, and begin to gain access to this light and strength of the mind so we can produce heavily. So we can really produce. And because it is only when we start producing that there will be so much results around us.
Thank you so much, sir. If you missed the teaching yesterday, no worries. You could actually go to YouTube and find the message on God's Servants page, Maxwell Golden Egbe. You'll find the message. It was very expository yesterday, and you will not regret that you watched the message from start to finish. Now we're going to the first round of questions in this morning segment, and this is from a pastor, and he says, "Good morning, Bishop. I have very serious concerns because I know that we who do ministry here in the north are quite different from the people who do ministry in the west and also in the south. So my question to you this morning, my bishop, is in a country where many clergy face financial constraints and societal pressures and insecurity, how do we sustain our calling and remain steadfast in ministry?"
You know, I have tried my best not to get involved with certain things that are playing around ministry today, because the encircling of ministry, let me do it this way. Whatever you are going through is knowledge based. So what I will advise that you do is to start reading at the level of your crisis. When you read at the level of your crisis, you will surely come out with solutions. I was reading the Bible today in Proverbs chapter 9 from verse 8 to 9. If they can put it on the screen, I want the person to read it. And you can see Solomon tried to express what refusal to know brings to you in verse 8. And in verse 9, it tells us what hearing would also do to you. So I have always said, any crisis you face is knowledge crisis. Any crisis you face in your job, in your business, whether ministry or out of ministry, is knowledge crisis. I try to go through what I do every day. I went to the service yesterday, the attendance, the structures, and everything, and I'm building up models that I need to use to enhance. This is one of the growing churches in this city, but I'm not satisfied. So all through the night, I'm trying to ask myself, what next will I do? What book do I read? What tape do I listen to? What information do I absorb? So you need to understand that it's only knowledge that expands you, and it's only knowledge that gives you access for more. So if you're having difficulties, it's knowledge crisis. And if you get to know what you need to know, you will surely come out of that difficulty. Whether as a preacher or as a business person or as a married couple, as long as you have an idea of what to do, you will surely. It's like I told you earlier. I was trying to check the impressions of people. Yes, I discovered that the messages I teach on the 3 services on youth, single, parenting is a guide of instructions, and it was driving people more to church. So he told me, the Holy Ghost told me, go back to those teachings when you have those your services, particularly your 3 services, not the combined services. And you see, it will take enlightenment to get direction. So when you have that, you always come out of crisis. So that's the way to go about any difficulty you face in life. One little knowledge can set you out of it.
Indeed, it will take enlightenment to gain direction. So, irrespective of where you are, the north, the south, the east, or the west of the country doing ministry, it will take enlightenment to get direction. Now, this other question comes from the email, and it says, "Good morning. This is from Stephanie 217, and she says, 'Good morning, Bishop. Very profound teachings and counsels on the gospel manager. I had to spend the whole night watching previous episodes on Facebook. Thank you so much, sir, for this platform. But my concern and question this morning is, how can young people overcome the fear of marriage given the negative examples they often see around them?'"
You know, if I use the word, let's stop looking at examples that are demeaning, destructive, and fail-based. And if there is no successful marriage on the earth, the Bible is there for you to learn from. If nobody has succeeded in marriage, in case you want to describe people as failed people in marriage, what about the Bible? The Bible has given us your model for success in marriage, and it tells you clearly. And the clarity in Genesis, the leaving of the man to the woman, the clarity in the book of Psalms, the book of Proverbs. I was studying it talks about the gracious woman, the woman builds her home, a foolish woman destroyed, a foolish man destroyed, and Paul now came up and remodeled it and gave us the stages of how marriages should look like. Jesus, the head of the church, man, the head of the home, woman, the head of the woman, the mothering of the children, and children following like that. And in Psalm 128 from verse 1, now outlined first, he that fears the Lord, a man that fears God, then his wife, then the children shall be like an olive tree, olive plant planted around it. So it's simple. There is no failed marriage picture in the Bible. There is no lesson in the Bible that God did not give us to give us direction. So if you want to learn anything about life, just go to the Bible. The Bible has shown us how to be married. You can be successful. If everybody failed the marriage in this life, you can read the Bible and be successful. And simple, understand respect. I've told you, understand respect. I'm not saying study respect. Understand what respect is. When you know what respect is, you know what honor is. If you know what honor is, you know what love is. If you know what love is, you know what commitment is. If you know what commitment is, you know what selflessness is. If you know what selflessness is, you will now know what boundaries is all about. So all of these traits are traditional backgrounds, whether by spirituality, whether by traditionality. These are the factors that will aid you to avoid crisis in marriage. And remember, how you think is not how life works. It is studying how life works, then bringing your thinking to how life works is what will make you successful in marriage. So if how you think is contradictory to certain policies that are ethics in marriage, you're going to have problems. So it is how God works, and you turn that God work into life, and then you start ethically handling your mind. Because your mind has to be handled in marriage. Your mind has to be handled. You have to stop doing certain things. You have to start listening a lot in marriage. A lot of listening has to be done. A lot of reasoning has to come into marriage. A lot of listening, reasoning. These two things are very powerful, listening and reasoning. We must have that a lot and stop looking at examples that are not okay. I don't care how many marriages have failed. The Bible gives us a guide on how you can succeed in it. So let us look at the areas that things succeed and stop looking at the things that cannot be successful. And when we start killing that, we'll be successful in marriage.
Thank you so much, sir. Okay, so now we are taking this follow-up question from also, this is from a pastor, and he says, "Good morning, Bishop. I have a question to ask, if you don't mind. In a tough economic environment like Nigeria, how can Christians succeed in business without compromising their faith? And secondly, sir, have you ever had to counsel someone who was tempted to engage in corrupt practices at work? And what was your counsel? Because I have one who I am trying to pull out of his already deepened decision into standing by his faith and not compromising at all."
You know, I want to use the pastor, and lately I begin to discover that we are trapping men of God. I want to use the pastor as an example, or a businessman as an example, who has a business and has clients. They try to make you do what they want you to do. That's the pastor now. The people want the pastor to do what they want him to do. And maybe you need them. But a few weeks ago, I asked myself a question: are you not the man of God? You are the man of God. You are not the man of the people. You are the man of God. So you shouldn't be the man of the people. You should be a man of God, leading the people. So one of the first things that we must kill is the fear of losing people. Because if you kill the fear of losing people, then you can correct them. I'm just teaching you something people have neglected. If you kill the fear of losing people, then you can correct them. But if you don't kill that fear of losing them, then you compromise with them. And that compromise is what will give you a problem more, because what you accept, you will condone. And what you condone becomes a part of you. And what becomes a part of you becomes your nightmare. So let's understand that when you start trying to fight for what is right, you should first settle in your heart that you're not scared of making sure that thing is corrected without losing the people. But if you are scared of losing them, then you're going to have a lot of issues correcting any corrupt person, because corruption can be handled. But you must make up your mind to handle it boldly. And if the person you're trying to correct is not changing, you have to keep consistently standing on the grounds that you know what you are doing. Because I will not give up because you are not learning. I'm not going to do that. And I will not give up because you are angry. I will not give up because you are complaining behind me. No, I'm not going to do that for you. I'm not going to give up because you are looking angry when I talk to you. I'm not going to give up in that. As long as I know that I'm not enslaving you, I know that I'm helping you, but you have refused to realize it. You know, I listened to a tape yesterday and it changed my whole life. The person was using Ephesians chapter 6 from verse 12 and was defining that the X word was in principalities, was in powers, to show that demons are together. But he said, to believers, he said the just one, the just, the righteous. He said, anybody who isolates himself by offenses is exposed to be attacked easily. He said, and he now brought an illustration with animals. He said, every animal has a weaponry of destruction. The lion has, is either his teeth or his clutches. The elephant has, the rhinos has, the crocodile has. He said, but the sheep does not have. He said, the strength of the sheep is unity. They go together. He said, that's the strength of the sheep. They move together. So because they go as a team, they become more powerful than one lion. So, if you want to be a man who will be successful tomorrow, then you should accept the spirit of a team. The spirit of a team simply means when you are wrong, you have to be corrected. When you are corrupting your life, somebody has to take you out of the corruption. And that's where the external hands comes into your life. And we all must accept that we all need external stretching of the hands to change certain beliefs, certain habits, certain lifestyle, so we can really come out to be what God wants us to be, because corruption can actually be handled. It depends on your acceptance to the external forces that will take care of it. But from my language of life, I will first not be scared to lose you if I want to help you. Because the fear of losing you is why you cannot be helped. So if I want to correct you, and my correction becomes a problem, then I don't have, and I have a star, I don't have value for you when I see that. Because I've always said, I didn't ask you to steal. I didn't ask you to do something. I just told you to get better. This is not the way to do this thing. And this is how to do it. And you're offended for what? What are you offended for? For what? At what level? So when we understand how life works, we will always have reasons not to get into crisis. I think that will help everyone that listening.
Thank you so much, sir. Okay, so we take this question from Jacinta. She said, good morning, Bishop. My name is Jacinta Felix Schweibo. 3 years ago, about 4 years ago, my elder sister got raped by a cluster of armed robbers. Prior before then, she was a very, very devoted Christian. And then for 3 years, it looks as if we had lost her, because she blamed God for everything. She hated men, she hated herself, and she even hated us. And then, because at some point she was feeling very down, we went for checkups and discovered that she was also inflicted with HIV. We have been treating, we have been praying, but she didn't want to hear anything about God, nor even any name close to it, as long as she was there. I prayed a prayer and I asked the Lord to please heal her of her depression and of that virus. God heard my prayer in one of the services in church. My pastor called my case and said that God has healed my sister because of the prayer I prayed. I thanked God, but it again took some time to convince her to go for a checkup, because like I said, she didn't want to hear anything about God. But then, because it was also about her health, she reluctantly went behind my back to do the test. And then she called excitedly that it has now turned to negative. It has now turned that she was healed of HIV. Then another battle started of her coming to church to at least testify of God's goodness. She rather told me to go and do it myself, since it was my prayer that God answered, not hers. Again, I spoke with my pastor, and then my pastor invited her. She refused to come to church, so he drove to the house with me. It took about 3 hours, and again, I appreciate pastors, because my pastor took insults from my elder sister, but he understood the state of life she was. After so much convincing, and again, after 3 months from that visit and constant calls from my pastor, she reluctantly came to church in one of our services. Now, my worry now is she had been absorbed back to church. She now finds her solace in church, but she doesn't want anything to do with men. As long as a man is concerned, you cannot even touch her, you cannot even talk to her, or make passes at her becomes even worse. At the time, she was arrested because she malhandled a guy who had attempted politely to reach out to her, slapped him, tore his clothes, and called him all sorts of shambles, and then she was locked up by the sister of the boy who was also in the scene. Now, my question, sir, is how can I convince my sister to let go of the past event, be appreciative of life today, and move on, because she eventually has to marry at some point, which she is saying she would not. She is 29 and she has so much of life, beauty, and vigor. And that's just my question this morning, and concern to all of us in the family.
You know, man and his capacity to accuse and to blame. You know, I was trying to do a study 2 years ago about how man works and how man takes actions and decisions. And you know, the first thing that we do is to look for who to blame. And the second thing that we do is to look for who to accuse. Let's look at before the armed robbers came. How was her life? God, that did not say anything about her life. What was her life? What was she doing? How does she dress? What friends does she keep? Those are questions we will ask. Before an event, there was a pre-life before that event. So how was her life? Now, the rape case happened. How does that involve God and the church? That's an act of a man being displayed there. Wickedness can come from anybody. You have to make sure you keep the right environment for yourself, for your own safety. Keep the right people in your life. Check the people you communicate with. Check the kind of message you send on. But today that everybody's online. Check the things you post on your status. Check how you dress. Check the things you say, because all of these things are attractive enough to bring any danger to your life. Let's check all of that. And then the drag of the church, that is what I keep saying. Why will you blame the church for an event that has nothing to do with the church? It's not a God problem. It's a man's problem. It's you. And whoever did that to you, it has nothing to do with God. If we keep the right environment, behave, please, you have to behave protectively. I've always said some ladies don't know how to behave protective. They behave exposingly. Behave protecting yourself. You don't need to shout to anybody. Behave protectively. The things you send about yourself, the things you say about yourself, how you relate with the opposite sex, how you relate protectively. So you won't attract anything that will molest your life. That would have helped a lot. And then for the conviction about the sickness and all of that, those are things we cannot define. When these things happen, we just pray that God gives us the solace, the strength to overcome, which she overcame by prayers. I expected that instead of staying in the same box of ingratitude and defenses, she should be grateful that once an afflicted body is now healthy and go back to tango. But I want to say this to the brother. You should know that if we want to get the best out of anything, we must also make sure that we are showing the people the right path to follow at all times. The pastor did a great job, great one, is appreciated, and I encourage every pastor to do their best, not only to bring people to church, is to make sure that people's habitual living is reduced from this external attention that brings such acts to ladies' life. And ladies are not helping themselves. They should try and have the mentality of protection. They should try, now that we have this Facebook sickness all over the place, they should try and know what they wear, what they snap, how you present yourself in public. These things are compelling, and they build directions in the heart of the opposite sex. Let them do their best to come out of that. And so be free from any kind of attention that is unnecessary. Be free from it. Look decent, but don't look destructive to yourself. And for the girl, she should heal fast. I know that she only has her own life to live ahead of her. She has life to live. Let her pick up that pieces. Oprah Winfrey was raped. Paula White was raped. Joyce Meyer had the same issues. All these ladies are super beings today. So she still have a life to go ahead and live. Let her see the brighter part of life and live it. And use her testimony as a testament to young ladies' life. But not against her own life, but to those who are trying to grow up. That she will be a blessing and a direction today.
Thank you so much, sir. Okay, so we go into the question. This one says, "Good morning, Bishop. My question is, how can Christians avoid being manipulated by politicians who use religion for their own agendas? I say this because I see what some of our politicians do, especially to many of us who are Christians, in trying to canvass for votes, and 2027 is at the corner. We could see the dilemma happening already. So, sir, how can we, as Christians, avoid being manipulated by these politicians to their selfish desires?"
The state of people, I'm going to take it from a character crisis. People don't have the strength to defend morals. So as long as we don't have the strength to defend morals, we will accept anything. So it's not the politicians. They don't have a problem. If you come to me with an offer and I said it is not my standard, won't you go back? You will go back. So the problem is not the politicians. The problem is the people receiving them. So we don't have, and that's one of the things I feel I don't like is divided people. Don't be divided in your life. Try not to be divided. You will regret it. You can't be for everybody. You can't be for everybody in this life. There are certain people you should not be close to. It's not because you hate them, because you don't see any reason why you should be close to them. And there are certain people you should not be relating with. It has nothing to do with your profession. It has nothing to do with your future. So, but why are you keeping communion? It's because you want to prove that you are in a society where people have to relate. Even God created Adam and Eve. He didn't create Lion and Adam. So he made a choice of relationship even in the garden. Jesus even came and chose the 12. So we must understand that first, that we have a choice of what to accept and what not to accept. So when you tell me somebody manipulated you, I'm saying your decision is what they manipulated. You decided to accept it. Because you can hear and still don't do. You can hear and still don't accept. Because a strong belt character will give his opinion over a decision because it does not favor a standard. Because the standard is more powerful than your stomach, than few monies for a season, because your standard is your future. Your standard is your testimony. And your standard is your destiny. Your standard is even your success. So let's take away the politicians from it. The people receiving them need to go build themselves in character. When they do that, then they will know how to deal with those people. And then they themselves will know if they come, they won't get access. Yeah.
Standard is your testimony, your standard is your future, your standard is your success. And permit me to say, make it your standard to be with us this Thursday and Sunday for our services, make it a standard to always listen to Bishop Maxwell Golden Egbe every day. And we just want to give you this invite, but watch this video. I'll be back after the video.
Hey, this is a special invite from me to you.
This Thursday for our midweek service by 4:30 p.m.
And Sunday by 7:30 a.m. Live at Honor International.
And it's also our special Thanksgiving service on Sunday. Come celebrate with us as we thank God for all He has done for us in the month of May, from January and until May. Like they said, it's our midweek service and our Sunday service. It's streaming live on all social media platforms at Dr. Maxwell Golden Egbe and Maxwell Golden Egbe on Facebook, and on YouTube it is Honor TV and Dr. Maxwell Golden Egbe. And guess what? To all our friends and families around Nigeria, you can stream in live via the Honor TV.
Nobody know like yours.
It's a special service, and of course you know what it is for children to invite you specially. It means God has something for you. God has something to say. Listen, listen, pay attention, for indeed in the honor world there's a miracle and a testimony for you. It's Thursday and also Sunday. Don't forget, Sunday is our special Thanksgiving service at 7:30 a.m. Now, whilst we are at that, and whilst we are in the spirit of celebrating the children, we have another video to invite you, but not from me this time, but from the children themselves. I'll be back after this.
Hello, my God. We have an exciting news today, don't we?
Yes. Hello, cherished children and wonderful parents. We have an exciting news for you today.
On May 31st, 2025,
We gather for a divine appointment.
our children convention, a day of joy, wisdom, and spiritual growth.
So remember, on May 31st, 2025 at Honor World International, we'll see you at our children's convention, a day where joy meets purpose and young hearts connect.
I and my friend will be attending. I hope you will be there.
Parents, bring your children. Children, come with your friends. Come with your hearts open and ready for an encounter with Jesus.
Don't miss it. Come, let's walk in this life together.
See you there!
To all of the kids around the globe. Now remember that whatever we do here in the Honor World International is not just for the consumption of us, but we are international, we are global, so we also put our hands extended to all the children across the globe. They can hook up and be part of what God's servant is going to do, going to teach the children on that very day. Remember, it's across all our social media platforms, on Facebook, on YouTube, at Maxwell Golden Egbe and Honor TV on YouTube, and also Dr. Maxwell Golden Egbe and the Honor World International on Facebook. It's going to be an amazing time with the children. God's servant is a children person. He's a child lover, and the children love him. And so get your children seated across the globe, wherever they are. Put them in the TV screens. Make their phones set up for that service, and let them have a personal encounter with God's servant and also with God. Remember, it's Saturday the 31st and Sunday the 1st of June 2025. It's going to be an amazing time. They would not regret it. All right, so we go back to our questions, and we have another question, and this one says, Bishop, I have listened attentively, especially when you spoke about the human AI on Thursday at the stream, and also yesterday you also made mention at it on the stream. Though I did not catch up quite early, but I was at the middle of the pack when you were speaking about it. Now it rose concern to me, and it says, with the rapid rise of artificial intelligence, how can our young people in Nigeria leverage technology without losing their moral compass? And then the follow-up question says, which is also concurrent with this one, it says, some fear that AI will replace human jobs. How can we ensure technology serves us rather than enslaving us?
Enticement. We are too carried away by excitement. Man is an exciting being. Man seeks for satisfaction. So because we seek for satisfaction, anything that is produced that catches the mind takes our time. For example, all we are seeing today, the phone. The phone is a very active product. So some persons can tell you that they can't do without it. Some persons can even tell you that what the phone has done to their lives. And you must understand that everything that is sweet to the mouth is deadlier to the mouth. So if we are producing such things, we should also consider that there are literal traditional programs that nature gave us that improvement cannot destroy. One of them is the use of the head. You can't take away reasoning from your life. So if you stop reasoning and want to depend on Google, whatever Chinese spot that produces information, at one time you may be thinking like a program machine. Man has blood and water, so we are about to think deeper and better. The machine is produced to serve a certain purpose. There are certain things that your phone cannot do for you. And there are certain things only humans can produce themselves. Because I've never heard anybody produce a phone that can go to toilet on your behalf. I've never heard that one. And also, I've never heard a machine that will eat on your behalf. I've also never had a machine that will produce children on your behalf. So that simply means reasoning, the digestive productions, eating proceedings, childbearing proceedings, all of that will be done by you. So let's take advantage of the privileges of good ideas that have come to the earth. But let's not lose touch of the traditional nature of reasoning that God himself implanted in Genesis 2 from verse 7. He breathed into man the breath of life. He did not say, let's come and reason together as machines. He said, come as humans, let's reason. So we must go back to reasoning more now, because the more we are exposed to advanced knowledge, the more we are discarding the traditional thinking of man. And that's why you can test today, there are more foolish people than wise people. There are more foolish people in behavior. You can see it in our community. There are more foolish people everywhere. The reason why it's like that is because we are not reasoning anymore. We are using the machines to think with. And the machine operates by your mind. The mind that is not fed will not have anything to feed the machine with. So we need to grow our mental man through traditional reasoning. This one-to-one sense of reasoning is important. So when we get that done, then we now advance in improving ourselves, because we are the ones producing. Let's keep improving ourselves so that the machine don't get better than us, because the machines at one time may look better than us, but we are the ones producing them. So you don't produce and stay bankrupt. You produce and add to yourself. The teacher that teaches needs to go back to study, because at one time you won't have anything to do what? To offer the students. So the more you stay without learning, the more you have nothing to offer. We are producing. Let's not forget that as we keep producing, we must keep receiving to ourselves, so we can produce better in the society and at life at large.
All right, we'll take this question from Adora. She says, good morning, sir, and thank you always for the help you render to a lot of us by answering our life questions. On the issue of rape and molestation, as much as indecent and exposed dressings for females are very wrong, does it mean it also justifies a male figure forcefully molesting and abusing a lady without her consent? Also, sir, there are also ladies who are victims of molestation as kids, who haven't even grown the body for such attraction, and there are also decent and covered ladies who have gone through the same inhuman acts. Please, sir, for the sake of balance and in your profound wisdom, what are your words of encouragement for these pre-adolescent kids and ladies, and for the men who perpetrate these acts?
I will try not to be a front advocate for that, but I'll try to make sure that I've always said men should mature their minds, not their sight. If you mature your mind, you always don't have issues with that. And it has to do with the things you watch and the things you hear. So if we want to keep a healthy society, we must start defining what goes on air, because that's where the problem is. What goes on the TV box, what goes on our phones, these are the reasons for our problems. So if we can't define that, no amount of guides and teaching will work. But the problem is what we watch and the things we read. That's where the problem is coming from, whether male or female. I'm not here to say the males are right, the females are wrong. I'm just telling you that what you create is what you attract, whether male or female. If you create an environment where your eyes sees those things, your actions will show. If the lady is appearing all the time in a certain way, those acts will come to your life. A child who experiences that is a parental environment also that creates that thing for that child. Because I will not see myself allowing my little girl to stay close to a young man who I keep seeing close to his phone all the time and is watching movies. And that young man who keeps watching those movies is creating a certain level of attention for himself. And I will be blinded to know that I have a child who is always with the phone and trust that the only thing that child is doing is message. So investigations are very powerful. So if I don't create an environment of safety, these ills will play themselves one day. So it's not all about the male or female. We need to watch what we watch, what we with the environment we create, with our phones, with the TV box, and if we can stop that, we will stop this act. Because as long as you're not being fed, you will not have the energy to do anything. Strength is a product of feeding. So when I feed you, you'll be strong to act. So if I kill that strength, you won't act. So if we kill what we send to the media and what we watch on TV, we have killed that act. The females and the males will have a problem. They will work together, do things together, and there's no problem. So I feel that is where the problem is, not even the male or female. The things that we watch and the things that we hear. So I call it an environmental crisis. That's an environmental problem. It's not a female or a male. I just use that example because the person talking brought a case about a female. So it's not a female crisis or a male crisis. It's a media crisis. And not many persons are listening to messages. Now that we have the YouTube, we have the TikTok, we have the all of that. So check how many persons are going through messages. Today, those who are even going through messages now are using the messages to make monies with it. They put people's pictures and hear what they said, or they're either condemning or using that to promote their page. So it's not, messages on the altar today is not for learning. is for business purposes. So if we are really listening to messages that we are, it's like a youth now today or after service went to the studio and tell the media to break down the clips of that message to him. He wants to take it home and sit down to listen by himself. You will discover that no youth asks for that message. No girl who wants to get married asks for that message. Now, but they have they have watched a movie about a relationship. They have picked a clip of a pastor who talks about relationship on a certain line. Pick the only one they needed. But they have not sat down to look at my life and look at my teaching and tell themselves, I'm going to build something out of this man's life and through his messages. So it's not all about who is being attacked, who is influencing the attack. It's the informations we are receiving that is not helping the actions of the male and the female. You don't stop to dress. You don't dress naked because that's what you want. You dress because of the things you see. It's your sight that makes you dress like that. It's not that you wanted it, it's your sight. So you don't go after a woman because you love her. You go because of what you are seeing, that attraction. That's what is pushing you there. And the things you are watching is leading you to that path.
Because I know someone who is a TikToker, and most of the videos people find of her is when she is almost half naked. When you see her in person, she is fully covered. Now, from what you also said, people who may have been watching her or following her on TikTok and watching her do all those things she does, it plays something in their head. And there's a desire to do one or two things with her. And if her real personality is against that act, that's when probably some people who, because I believe there are some people who, they find it difficult to face rejection. They may force their way into it, and probably that's where the thoughts about rape and all those things come from. So I totally agree with what you said, and this is a light for us. And it also shows to us that what we have and what we are blessed with here in Gospel Manager is not just some pastor sitting down and answering questions, but giving wise words of wisdom and counsel on how we can actually not just come out of the problem, but also salvage the entire situation where we don't even have the problem in the first place. So please do well to share this episode and previous episodes to your friends and family so they could learn. It may not be your problem, but you could learn from it. You could get wisdom from it and teach your children or your friends, counsel them by what we get here on Gospel Manager. So we're going to take the very last question for this episode. We had about 11 questions on this team, but I'm just going to take one for want of time and because they are somewhat relating to each other. And it says, good morning, sir. Please, sir, what is the message you have for those who feel trapped in addiction but are afraid to seek help? Now, this is centered, like I said before, we had about 11 questions on drug abuse and drug addiction, but I believe this one can actually solve all that.
If you refuse to seek help, then do a study of your life in the next 20 years, the next 40 years, the next 50 years. So if you refuse to seek help, you can picture your condition in the next 40 years of your life. That will not make you seek help, because if you don't seek that help, you will surely be a victim of your decision. So my advice to you is that please seek for the help. Consider your 20 years ahead of you. What will become of you? The boy person that is mad today was not mad 10 years ago. He started with some certain things, that approaches that he was having, and he refused to pay attention to it. The person who is having issues today did not have it yesterday. Some signs were there that he refused to attend to some. Know that that addiction that you're saying you don't want to attend to will become the reason why you may not be able to do anything with your life. So see your life ahead of you and fight what is against you today So you don't live all your life fighting the same battle that you would have fought when you were 16. You would have fought when you were 19. Now when you are 60, you are almost going. You are still fighting about it. To me, it's an act of madness, and it makes no sense. But you can easily come out of it by good reasoning. Good reasoning. And also, number two, give yourself to advanced counsel. And read books. And take your time and get yourself involved with church and your Bible, and you'll be okay.
We have to come to the end of today's episode, but I really literally enjoyed today's episode because it was very enlightening, especially in sensitive areas that society doesn't necessarily talk about. And so we are very grateful to God's servant. I'm going to leave the floor now for God's servant to give his closing remarks and bless us for the new week.
You know, there is the mentality now about people don't want to work for anybody. I'm a man of myself. I'm a woman of myself. So I was building that thought today. So I went to the Bible this morning. I discovered that God created everything in the garden to work for him. And he told Adam, the day you don't work for me, you will die. So Adam was meant to work for God. He looked at the children of Israel in Egypt. He raised a man and tell everybody he will save, he will be your Messiah. He will be your deliverer. Everybody walk with him. He went to Egypt, took Joseph and planted there, and told Pharaoh, walk with him. And Pharaoh told the people, whatever I ask you to do, do it. Then I discover, if a team does not have who they are supposed to work with, there will be no success in a team. Every team must have a player that they play around. Every team must have a leader that they walk around, that they are working for. See the church, we are serving God, honoring the God of the church, but we are working to grow the vision of our visionary. So when we all come together collectively that this vision will not die, this vision must have a message. That is when there will be growth. So I want to encourage everyone. Please look for a team where you can work for somebody, not for yourself. If Joe in Qatar played for Messi, the team in Atlanta 96